The last live stream I had was over a month ago, and despite at the end where I expressed I'd put up another stream schedule sometime the next day, that day never came. At least, not when I expressed it would. Sure, there were some life priorities on my side of the screen that took precedence, but one day late became 2, then a week, and before I knew it, a month and some change had slipped through my fingers. Now, this video isn't going to be like my usual upbeat, silly shenanigans, but I wanted to take some time to peel back the curtain to create an honest discussion on personal growth and the internal battles I've found myself stuck in, but am choosing to struggle through. Because at the end of the day, when I recognize that I am not content, I keep putting in the effort to become better, to be happier, and it's a lot of work. That said, during my absence, I've been thinking predominantly on what am I doing here? Where do I intend to go with this platform? Why have I always chosen other priorities and never made YouTube my priority? Am I running from something? Do I not think I'm good enough? If this sounds like you or you're curious on what I've learned in my journey of self-growth, I encourage you to stick around. First and foremost, I'm going to be direct and answer my own question that yes, I was running away. And the feeling of believing I'm not good enough did have something to do with it. Comparison is certainly the thief of joy. And seeing so many other creators consistently upload, manage 1 to 3 other channels, have multiple collaborations, etc., fed my inner bully, disguised as a critic, begrudge that I wasn't doing enough. It felt so easy to let stagnation persist, and when I amassed enough energy to even attempt coming back, that same inner voice beckoned that without a very good explanation, those supporting me and my channel will surely be disappointed. Suddenly, I couldn't give myself permission to step away without a solid, bulletproof reason. And that doing so unexpectedly is somehow akin to cruel and unusual punishment for my audience. Then, when I even thought of coming back to post, to upload, to live stream, I'd end up booing myself off stage before I had even given myself the chance to perform. This inward bully had internalized an ideology that I didn't deserve to come back to a platform that I struggled to maintain. They excused and explained away any and all effort I made as not being enough when there are so many others out there giving it their all, and I could barely manage a 10th. They disguised their cruel language as a means of being truthful and sincere, but in the end, it created an unproductive and self-destructive way to carry myself, especially in the desire of wanting to create. This self-destructive habit actually happened and reared its ugly head after my last SPEEDDRAW upload of What Are the Odds? Trigger warning, that video does contain a story about throwing up, so anyone with emetophobia or is squeamish about the thought, I strongly advise to view at your own discretion or just avoid altogether. After posting that video on February 29th, 2024, well over 2 years ago and reaching for 3, I felt so excited for the upload. I worked hard on the custom thumbnail, the intro, script, finding proper chill music, B-roll, art footage, all for it to end up not performing well. It actually is one of the few videos that ended up with a dislike, even though you can't see it. Yes, my analytics do show a dislike, and then that dislike somehow disappeared. I'm just going to go ahead and put up a little screenshot of that right over here. There we are. And so even though one dislike isn't much, that coupled with its flat performance, I let it crush me. I quietly ended up scrapping more potential ideas for Storytime speed draws and stopped perusing the medium as an outlet for my creativity for years. Until this upload, which is also what happened after my last live stream over a month ago. I normalized this terrible habit of quietly disappearing from the internet space as the internalized ideology that plagued me stated I wasn't good enough, I was wasting my time, or I didn't deserve to be here. I think the hardest thing for me to realize when I am stuck in this mindset is that I have become my own worst enemy. That it's not the algorithm for not picking up my content or how my thumbnail game may not be on point, that it's myself getting in my own way. And I can't speak as to why that may be for others, if they share the similar sentiment, but in my experience, it had become the culmination of internalized parental mindsets, unmanaged and or unchecked mental illnesses, all mixed with a secret sauce of doubt that helped create a paralyzing fear at the thought of even trying. A weekend some time ago, my sisters and I were watching the live action of One Piece on Netflix. And there was a line Zoro said after someone asked him if he believed Luffy could find the One Piece and become the Pirate King. And Zoro replied, "I don't have to believe him. He believes it himself." I started to wonder, what would that self-belief look like for me? I had grown exhausted and defeated from the constant runaround of not allowing to give myself permission. Permission to create, permission to take a break, permission to mess up or stumble, permission to accept failure as an opportunity to learn, all because I continued to feed this bully I had falsely idolized as my inner critic. That their word was law, and to go against it is to go against the grain of myself as a person. I have been fortunate enough to be able to afford and consistently go to therapy the last 2+ years. And it was my therapist who challenged me to look at these parts of my internal bully, shine a light on it, face it, and dig into as to why I feel the way that I felt. When I uncovered what machinations had manifested my bully, the quote from Emily McDowell, a fellow creative, has said, quote, "Finding yourself is not really how it works. You aren't a $10 bill in last winter's coat pocket. You are also not lost. Your true self is right there, buried under cultural conditioning, other people's opinions, and inaccurate conclusions you drew as a kid that became your beliefs about who you are. Finding yourself is actually a returning to yourself, an unlearning, an excavation, a remembering who you were before the world got its hands on you." I do remember quoting this in a previous video of mine, but it's funny how given time, the depth or understanding of something can change. I had learned that I was denying myself my creative aspects because I internalized that pursuing a creative passion into a career wasn't financially sustainable, according to my parents. Both of my parents had grown up in a financially unstable household. And through their experience, it cultivated a fear of letting their own children struggle with similar paths they once walked. They don't see a creative career as being sustainable due to their fear. But fear is a poor motivator. It makes you approach problems in a reactive manner and whittles away energy to the what ifs and false narratives you can concoct in your mind. I have been guilty of doing this. And even though I have come by it honestly due to my upbringing, it hasn't made me any happier or closer to what I want to do or who I want to be. I'm unlearning to let fear guide my decisions and instead be proactive about what I can do today and what I can control. I've had to learn the difference between planning and letting fear run rampant. Planning is creating a proactive measure, depending on circumstances. Example, like one time I went back to a trip to go to Seattle with my friend to see a concert, and I had to know the routes. I planned for what routes I'm going to take. I planned for the stops for gas and everything. Or even like if there are, in the event of emergencies like fires or severe weather, planning for what type of backup plans or what type of emergency actions would one take in those circumstances. That's something I can control. Letting fear being my main driving force is thinking about the scenarios I can't control and spiraling what I will say or do in the event of them. I have spent more time than I'd like to admit thinking about confrontations that never have happened, trying to memorize words and sentences depending on what another person is going to say out of the fear of sounding stupid or arrogant, stressing about how I will be perceived by millions of strangers on the internet when it comes to scripting another video, and then letting my bully win and deciding to scrap the idea altogether. Through these past few years, I've had to build my self-confidence that I, myself, in the present, will know how to handle a situation when or if it arises. I remember hearing that your brain is one of the only organs that doesn't like to live in the present. And having lived that way throughout the majority of my mid-teens till now, it's exhausting. I've had to redirect those old habits into being present with myself and my surroundings, restructure my perspective, and invest in changing the way I think about myself or what I do, and even look into finding appropriate medication for my health and well-being. Which, being medicated, is a whole other topic I won't get into in this video, but I will say that I hadn't realized the stigmatisms I normalized around the prospect that prevented me from trying to get medication for so long. Yet, underneath this bully of mine, at its core, is a little girl. It is a young me, too young to understand her own emotions or capacity to express them, who, from their trauma, had created a system that helped them navigate life. But as I got older, this system that once helped a younger version of myself cope began to hinder my adult self's ability to function. Once I knew this, I could no longer ignore it. It started the excavation that Emily McDowell had mentioned. Child me had internalized a few things, and I'm gonna go over the main 4. 1. You don't want to become a starving artist. My parents had instilled the belief that choosing a creative career isn't financially sustainable unless you work for someone else, like being a graphic designer for a firm, etc. Which leads me to 2. You don't want your hobby to become work. Younger me feared the thought of what I loved to do would become work so much that as I got older, the moment of what I enjoyed felt like my misguided idea of work, I would stop doing them. This began to prevent me from even picking up my passions or having long spurts without doing them, including playing video games. I remember feeling so guilty after having a fun gaming session where my mind would chide me for not utilizing my time better by drawing or making something. Eventually, it became so severe that I would even be paralyzed at the thought of even starting something, and fearing that it wouldn't be good enough, it would become a chore. So I never started anything, and only daydreamed of starting. Or choosing something fun like gaming, and how dare me for not working on something like my crafts, art, or my stories. I lived in a constant state of being of damned if I do and damned if I don't situation. 3. Thousands of aspiring artists never, quote, make it. So what makes you so special? I remember reading this newspaper article that my parents showed me about how a teenager, like me at the time, had managed to publish her own manga. And this was even relative to my region and where I grew up. Naturally, I was hungry for how did she manage this feat all on her own? But when I read that she couldn't have done it without the support of her close friends and family, I became jealous. I didn't have that type of support. And with the other 2 things I discussed, it added to this feeling that I would never become the one who would make it. If my own caregivers had written it off as not sustainable, then why should I even try? 4. Your self-worth is a direct reflection of what you can do for others. My mom and dad were raised by a generation where there were cradle-to-grave jobs, where your hard work would be recognized by the company, you'd become promoted, and even when you retired, the company would still take care of you with lifelong pensions and make your end-of-life prospects more comfortable. Even if my grandparents didn't have these types of jobs, the mindset of being rewarded for hard work certainly persisted, which also passed on to my parents and then on to their children. Younger me felt like unless I wasn't making good grades or performed the best, then I wouldn't be recognized. That my agency hinged on another telling me I did phenomenal or a good job. When I became a young adult, I then encountered situations of performance punishment. And it had taken me some time to recognize that no, this is not a compliment. There are some other things I had happened upon during my internal excavation, but these 4 were the main ones. Once I finally did some digging and pulled apart the latched-on molasses from the old systems my younger self created, it felt like I could finally put those to rest, or at least start the process of putting them to rest. I was able to tell myself that we're not that scared little girl anymore, and we can give ourselves permission starting now. Permission to create, permission to have fun, permission to believe in ourselves. Every once in a while, sure, I may end up stumbling back into my old mindsets. I can fall foot or head first back into this mental molasses soup and end up getting stuck. But that's exactly why I struggle. Because I'm done being submerged and normalizing that not being able to breathe is okay. With all that said, I also wanted to take some time to extend a thank you to the viewer, my friends, and everyone who has supported me and chooses to keep doing so while I'm navigating these growing pains amongst maintaining this channel. I do want to stress that despite a lot of the growing pains being derived from how I grew up and was raised, my parents are not the villains of my life. I understand that it was because of their love for their daughter, they wanted the best for me, even if their fear had taken the helm. I still love them with all my heart as their daughter, but I am not their little girl anymore. As an adult, I recognize that even though it was never their intention to make me feel this way, it still happened. And I do feel hurt from what they did or didn't do. And I'm not going to invalidate my feelings by saying I did not. I can forgive them for that hurt. But right now, my time is now. And I want to continue forward by doing what I've always loved, which is creating. So, thank you for joining me on this little journey of my growing pains, how I may be stuck in my molasses quagmire, but I certainly am given a struggle. I'm a Pokemon with no power points left, and I am struggling a lot. But that's okay because I got like the Shell Bell or something on me that's giving me like that HP back and everything because it's like the therapist tool that gave me the Shell Bell to get the HP to recover. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. I better stop and everything. But again, I do appreciate everybody for showing up, for watching this video to the end. And as always, so remember everybody, be awesome, be you. Akemi.